Hi, my name's Skinder Hundal. I'm the Director of Arts at British Council, and the programme that this is all part of is our Australia-UK season, which looks at connecting cities, people, organisations between the UK and across Australia. So really excited that Birmingham and Ikon Gallery has twinned, in a sense, their relation with the MCA in Sydney. This is going to be extraordinary because both spaces and places are looking at really, really pertinent issues that connect, but also explore new sort of spaces of invention. And so on one side of the waters, there's the kind of indigenous expression, and on the other side, there is this diasporic kind of perspective that is taking place. And one of the big things that we are interested in at British Council is about building relations, cultural relations, and trust between people, and trust between organisations, agencies, institutions, and communities. And I always believe that communities are more than just observing audience members. They are participants, beneficiaries, informers of ideas. And a lot of what is experienced in our art spaces and what's produced by artists draws from those lived experiences, but also the lived experiences that then, in a sense, interact and intersect with nature, also the non-human, and increasingly artificial intelligence and technology. These are strange discombobulations that are happening right now. And the artist plays a key role in this, working with the community. I always think about the great quote by James Baldwin, who talks about art's purpose and that it reveals the questions that the answers hide. So we live a particular truth that we feel is the norm. However, the norm has perhaps put us into a place that conforms us into a state and way of being that doesn't, in the end, satisfy some of the kind of hidden histories or the traumas that are not realised in the everyday mannerisms of our psyche, whether that leads to the idea of self-loathing or leads to the idea of stereotyping by others, and also contains our aspiration, our imagination to create the magic. And that's where we want to be. Recently, in fact, this weekend, I was in a place called Balsall Heath, and I was with a really interesting group called the Cultural Intelligence Agency. And they talked about something really interesting that made me think. They talked about the junkification of our society and that we were being fed starch and sugar as a form of almost like an addiction. And this addiction, whether it was the blinding light of our mobile phones and the wonderful social media that transports us into a place that we could not imagine and create a new sense of self. But was it too hollow? And was it really dealing with what was really happening right now and what really mattered? And what really mattered were things that were unseen, in a sense. And so when I think about artists and creative spaces, they are the in-between space that take us away from this kind of status quo of a trajectory. And therefore, if there is a space to reflect, meditate, contemplate, and create a kind of poetic analysis of the world we're in, we will find that there is a language and expression that needs to be heard more in the society we live in. The voices of those in the margins, I 100% believe, are the places that will invent the new future. The periphery, the unseen, is that moment where you bring that collision into what has, in a sense, perhaps suppressed that creative dynamic. And so that creative dynamic comes alive when the spark is engaged. So you can create a work of art and it can in a sense, reveal new answers, but also ask a series of new questions and also create this kind of radical ripple that proliferates and becomes an infinite provocation to change and do something that really, really mattered in your location, whether it's hyper-local or whether on a macro level. I would ask of any artist, of any arts organisation, what are the urgent questions of our time? The urgent unseen questions that deal with the immediate crisis. I'd also ask artists and creative organisations, what are the most important questions of our time that lead to long-term change in a sense? And what is the spectrum that will explore and determine and tune into the frequency of the spaces that produce the utopian perfect moment? So the question I always ask is, what does the world need right now?